world! Welcome to another episode of To Code or Not to Code. I'm Eliva. I'm really happy to be here today. And as always, I'm here with Stefan. Are you ready to do some coding today?
Always.
Yes, that's what I like to hear. I'm also ready. I'm ready to learn a few new things today in today's episode. But before we got into all the tooly stuff and everything that we're about to build with you guys today, let's see what's new in the tech world. It's newsflash time. What's new?
So the news that I find quite intriguing is that AI assistants are coming to Rider and also other tools of the JetBrains IDE suite. And this is currently in early access preview. It's not in the full release just yet, but it will be launched. I'm not sure when the actual release is, but rather soon. And it will include functionality as like having the AI assistant explain code or help you writing new code,
That's
or
super
also
useful.
have it generate commit messages.
I love it.
For you.
I actually love the commit messages, especially because I always find that super, super tedious. But also, yeah, that's the thing. Like, if you've been to the show before, you'll know that I have my own AI assistant with me on the show every time. His name is Stefan, and he's fabulous. But yeah, for everybody who doesn't have their own personal version of Stefan at home, I think this will be super, super useful. Sounds cool.
We
Yeah.
have Hi from
Hello.
ESL the Devil. Thanks for joining.
Yeah. What else is new?
I think
Anything?
that's about it.
That's about it.
what I found so far.
No,
at least
but we
in
do
the
have
.NET
some
release
news
build.
because there are some interesting videos online.
Oh
You
yes,
can't. He tried to. You're so. You're so like shy. Like I always try to push you into the spotlight, and you're like, no, there are no news. There are absolutely news because Stefan did two amazing talks in the last couple of weeks. Again, if you're a regular on the show, you might have heard us talk about it before, but they're now available online on YouTube.
Oops.
You can watch them conveniently from home. I really recommend them. He always does a fabulous job at those things, but they look super, super interesting. We've got one for .NET 7, I think is the one that you've got here. Yeah, that's in Oslo, on the NDC in Oslo, which, yeah, Stefan said was super cool. I have never been there, but it sounds amazing. One day I'll definitely come and join you up there. And the other one I think is about source generators. Is also one of your favorite topics. Yes, there it is.
Yeah.
You just have to look at the screen. Oh God. I'm doing this for the first time today, guys. No. Yeah, and that's in London, is it? No. Where was it?
In London, yes.
Yes. Perfect. Well prepared. Good job, Eva. I remembered all the cities.
And well, in general, all of the or most of the talks from both the NDC Oslo and NDC London from this year are online on the NDC Conference's YouTube channel, which I'll be posting the link right now.
Yes, definitely go and have a look. I'm sure there's something there for everyone. Yeah, really exciting talks. I looked at some of the heads earlier and I find them really funny. Anyway, but yeah, great. All right. Yeah, obviously, like again, if you're new to the show, if you're watching for the first time and you'd like to sort of see what we've done previously, see what's sort of coming up, what kind of content we are creating for you guys or with you guys very often as well, please follow us on Twitter. We always, really love when our community grows and you can write suggestions about what you'd like us to build with you. It's all we always code live, so it's all like literally live with you there. So if there's like a particular topic that you're interested in or that you maybe have a lot of input to give, totally like reach out, tweet us. It really, we're always open to suggestions and we're really happy to sort of connect with you guys and have a little chat. It's always really nice. So please give us a follow if you would like that. And yeah, I think it's time to head into the tool, isn't it?
It is indeed. So we left a couple of to-dos last time, one of which I am quite dreading, but we'll get there. Uh, First one is we had a question open how to deal with trivia, which doesn't. We discussed a lot about this off stream. How do we solve that, or how will we solve it in the future? So it seems that dealing with trivia, isn't that trivial, is it?
No, it's a complete like yeah. Um, it's kind of a rabbit hole, I think, that we sort of threw ourselves into. Um, but yeah, it gave us a very good idea for a future episode.
Oh yes, oh yes.
And a nice challenge to give you guys. So yeah, definitely look forward. Yeah, you can look forward to that. But yeah, so I think what sort of triggered it was that one of our tests last time failed. Yeah,
Hmm.
you already showed it. I'm really not good at I'm just looking at the screen today. I don't know what's wrong with me. Fine. Yeah, perfect. We're here. And yeah, so we can see that we have like an additional line there that we did not expect,
Hmm.
if I read that right. And that's, yeah,
Indeed.
because of the trailing trivia, correct?
I think no. I think in that case it's the
No.
leading trivia,
See,
because yeah. Well, in our discussion, I always mix them up as well. It's not it's hardcore, I guess.
is
So
tricky. Yes, of course,
that's
because of the leading. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
so
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
what
Because
because
mhm.
what we do expect or what we do have, well, it's actually a bit of a side effect from our auto-generated tests. So we weren't too conscious about the trivia actually. So what we have is those are actual auto-generated comments and should be ignored by the tool. So those, well, I guess a bit of a context. What our tool does is we state, hey, we want to globalize the using system directives, but only for non-generated code. So those system usings should remain because it has a proper auto-generated code comment at the beginning of the document. But those lower tools, they do have the correct text auto-generated, but they lack those opening and closing angle brackets. So those are no proper auto-generated comment. Therefore, those usings should actually be globalized. But what we basically, yeah, we're not thinking about is that we don't want to remove that comment actually, at least not in our current version. And if we take a look at am I currently in debugging? Yes. If we take a look at the node, and we get, well, there is both leading trivia and trailing trivia, where trivia such as comments do not add value to the compilation. They are hints for the reader of the source code, or hints for the tooling, such as the auto-generated comment. And if we get the leading trivia, which is the trivia coming before the using node, we see that it actually has two leading trivia entries, one of which is the auto-generated single line comment trivia, and the other one is a new is an end of line trivia. And if we now that means if we keep that end of line trivia, we actually get a new line at the end. So this is where our test is failing. We did not expect this empty line here because it's part of the leading trivia. Because in the code that we wrote, where is it? There it is. When we actually, so we go through all the using nodes in the document. We get the one that actually has the name that we want to remove. In our case, that is system. So we find that node, and now we remove that node with the option keep leading trivia. But it's the leading trivia that contains the end of line. If we would remove the leading trivia, we would also lose the comment. And we
Yeah.
weren't 100% sure how to correctly, under air quotes, deal with that for now.
Yeah, it's it. I suppose it's a tricky question, because usually, obviously, when you write comments, there's a reason you wrote them, and you don't want to you don't want to lose them. On the other hand, yeah, like if like we are, yeah, I would say it's kind of edge cases, and if you sort of
Hmm.
like, like write a comment in the line of your using. It's usually, I mean, I don't write my most important comments there personally in my sort of day-to-day business. But yeah, so I think we'll need some time to think about that. I think generally the safest option would be to just keep all comments and really sort of like trust our consumers, our users, that if they write a comment, they want to keep that comment.
Mhm.
So yeah, what do you think?
I guess, well, we talked about how to keep the comments, but think about if the document that remains exists exclusively of trivia, if it's basically, well, it's either empty or it only contains comments or white spaces, then we could actually think about removing that document. But this will be, we talked about, this will be a future episode where we will dealing more intensely with trivia that we teased already. So we were thinking to keep the current version because it works and it's rather simple by just using this option. So we keep the leading trivia, but we remove the trailing trivia, because if we keep the trailing trivia too, there is, let's use the other one. Let's say keep trailing trivia, but discard the leading trivia. Now a bunch of our tests will fail because we will have new lines at some places.
Oof.
Because we're keeping the trailing end of line trivia, which basically now results in, let's click to the test, having an empty line here. So really just removing the node, but not closing the gap that has been created basically from a text perspective. And I think the simplest and laziest solution to basically make our current tests green before we go into a trivia episode and we add explicit tests about these is to assume that is our current correct under air quotes behavior, and we expect those new lines here because they are part of the leading trivia that we don't remove. I really had to think about it so that I use leading and trailing trivia, because this is actually the node. Well, the node is now gone, but there was the using node, and the using node has two trivias. It has the single line comment trivia and also the end of line. Basically, there is a return here, end of line trivia here. So we just keep all of it. Later on, we can think about inspecting both the leading and the trailing trivia and only keeping the parts that we want and discarding the ones that we don't, and perhaps resulting in removing the document altogether.
Nice. Yeah, I agree with that. Any objections from you guys? Let's see if the tests are green before we decide anything.
Oh no. Oh yeah, because I still have the there it is, globalizer. We keep trailing trivia. What we had is keep the leading trivia. Now tests should become all green. I hope. Yoo-hoo!
Yay! Perfect. I'm happy with that.
Okay, then this will be our go-to for now, and I'll create. We actually do have a somewhat related issue already. If we jump to our repository, actually, I already have the issue open. So we want to using globalizer should actually remove the document when it's empty after removal of a local using directive. Basically means that if there is only, I guess we want to add to that story or to that issue that if there is only trivia remaining, if there are no nodes left, then delete the document. And perhaps we add another issue to that, also dealing with being more smart about trivia.
Yeah.
And I guess the reaction when all the tests are green, is that a happy face?
Yeah, that looks like a very happy face.
Cool. I guess this fix our first to-do. There it is. So we now, for now, dealing with trivia the way explicitly, and we'll refine this in the future.
Easy. Already one to do down. Love it.
Another
Keep up
problem
the
is that
pace. We'll finish 2 tools today. No.
let's see. So another issue that we have, well, for now, running the using counter. So this will count all our usings. This doesn't modify the project, but if we use the globalizer, so we say the using globalize, we want to globalize all system using directives for this project.
Mm-hmm.
If we fire that, now it does say, again, 6 occurrences of the using directive were globalized into the global using CS file. But I, again, made the same mistake as previously because I haven't deleted. So, well, now the behavior is okay. Actually, now the behavior is okay because, well, this global using file already existed previously. Mm-hmm. So if I were actually to, and we see that all the system usings of all those documents have been removed and have been globalized into one global using. If we, okay, I don't want to, if we revert that, oh, not show in Explorer, discard, and I now delete this global using files. That means that our tool now creates a new one because it hasn't been found yet. We don't append to the existing one, but we actually create a new document. So we add a new document to our project. But what the MS Build workspace is doing under the hood is now adding. So we have here changes in our CSproj file where the changes here adding this compile include, which is also an issue, currently open issue in the Roslyn repository. Basically, I'm having the same problem that this is added. Well, this is required for classic style projects, but it is a problem for SDK style projects. So when we have a CSproj that starts with project SDK at the top, now if we were actually to add this compile include, it causes a problem because in those SDK style projects, the compiler already, or MS Build already implicitly includes all of the .cs files as compile includes already, which means we now have a duplicate. And trying to build this project now will cause an error, I think. 2 errors, but
2 errors.
There we go. It's a duplicate compile item were included. So we don't want that for SDK style projects.
Okay, but we still want to cater also to classic style projects.
We do, yes. Definitely
what is exactly the difference? Is that a stupid question?
Not at all. Quite the opposite. So this is from basically from the .NET framework era. I'm now showing a classic .NET framework project, and that basically looks like it starts. Well, it's an XML file, so it even has the XML header. I think that's optional, actually, not sure. And then it says project, but this project doesn't state the SDK. This means this is like the classical project. This is how we wrote CS projects in the .NET framework era. Well, you can now have SDK style projects while still targeting .NET framework, but you require the .NET SDK, the more modern .NET SDK, to actually build those projects, because the modern .NET SDK is familiar with an SDK style project. So, and since we are using the modern version of Roslyn, we can. I think we could actually consume both. Yeah, we should be able to consume both or manipulate both classic projects and SDK style projects, because that's what the MS Build workspace under the hood that we are using does. And here's what we see, that we explicitly have those files included. So every document that you add to a classic style project actually explicitly requires you to compile include those CS files. Otherwise, the compiler doesn't recognize that they are there, and you can't apply your tooling, or you can't compile it. It's like this file isn't there. from the
Okay.
compiler's perspective. But with SDK style projects, which are the ones that you get per default when you hit .NET New in the .NET SDK, and it says here it uses this SDK. There is various SDKs. There's one for ASP.NET. I think there's one for Workers, which is like a long-running command line application, and Blazor, I think, also has its own SDK. So there's various SDKs, and for those compile includes actually happen implicitly. All of there is somewhere some logic that basically adds star.cs as a compile include, all of them, and now we have a duplicate here. So we don't want that for SDK style projects.
Okay. Okay, so it's basically like just a leftover from the past, kind of where you still had to write everything explicitly. And okay, that makes sense.
Indeed.
So we have to check kind of what kind of project we're dealing with, and then
I guess yes, I guess so.
right.
Perhaps a little bit of a teaser. We are in the next episode. We want to do integration tests, and with integration tests, we then actually also inspect the CS project. Maybe we deal with that. I'm not thinking about, should we deal with that now, or should we deal with that when we do in the integration test episode? It will be the next one, where we can actually then write tests around these, where we say, hey, if this an SDK style project, then do not manipulate it. But if it's not, then go ahead, because it must be added anyway.
I mean, we've been very test driven so far, and it would be good to sort of keep that up, I think. However,
Okay.
I'm very aware that we're just moving all of our to-dos to different episodes. And I feel kind of lazy.
I guess so, yeah. I think this is like a link deferred execution. We only do it on demand. if you would agree with that.
Yeah, I suppose. Why
Yeah.
not?
Then this will be our next episode, integration testing. So for our classic projects, add compile include item. Integration typing. And for SDK style projects, we do not modify the CS the project. And I guess this will be exactly the first test we will write with the for our integration test. Cool. I'm putting this on my notepad, which means I think we have an issue for that on GitHub already, don't we?
We do?
I'm not certain. Let's see.
32
integration.
issues.
Oh yes, add integration tests. So I'll be adding those two test cases then later into the description. So this will be for the next episode. Excellent. Okay, yes. That means, damn it. That means our MVP works as intended, and I must do the dance that I promised.
Go for it.
You did your dance already, haven't you? I'm not trying to buy time. I haven't thought about which move. I don't know. I don't know. Oh, now it's getting embarrassing. Okay, I think I just do some air bumps. Is this dancing?
Yes.
Okay.
Everything moving to a rhythm is dancing. Nice.
Yeah.
Good job.
Let's call it rhythm. Would you review this task as being completed?
Yes. I review this task as being very well executed and perfect.
Now I'm free.
Well, until the next release of the tool.
Oh no.
Okay, which brings us to our last to do. Oh my god, this episode will just be 20 minutes.
No.
No, okay. This one is slightly longer to do then. And it's also the title of the episode, so obviously that was sort of like going to be our main focus, right?
Indeed. So so what's System.CommandLine? System.CommandLine is available as a NuGet package, and that helps you build, as the name suggests, command line axes, applications. So we are having basically what our tool is. That's basically what our tool is. We can have a look at our tool, CS project. And this is, the output type is an axe. That means this is a console application. Basically what we did in the very, very first episode, we invoked, there's a new version, okay. .NET New console. Let's use the help here. We used this template to create our console application, and then added some package tools so that we can actually pack this as a NuGet package with this command, which will be then in a future episode when we actually release it, potentially after our integration testing episode, but I'm living in the future. And for these type of projects, we can now use System.CommandLine to basically to create a similar experience as the .NET SDK offers, where the .NET SDK has like commands. There is in this case, there is a .NET command. I think this is actually the driver, so no, that doesn't really apply. But there's a new command, and this new command, you can pass the type of application you want to create as a so-called argument. If we actually go to .NET New --help, so new is the command, and help is an option. When we do single dash or double dash, those are options. And options can have values or just standalone. In our case, help is just a standalone. And then we get a help description of what this command can do. And it says, okay, we can say .NET New. We can use the template, the short name of the template, and then additionally pass optional arguments to this template. Or we invoke a different command, because .NET New also has subcommands, such as list in this case, which means if we do .NET New list, so we have the new command with the list subcommand, and if we invoke that, we get a list of all the templates that we have, that we either get per default through the SDK or that we have installed. You can also have template packages installed as NuGet, via NuGet, and add them to your local experience and then have additional templates. And now our application should offer a similar experience as utilizing the .NET SDK, because basically we will be using the .NET SDK in order to download our tool via NuGet and actually also executing our tool. So it should have a similar experience as the .NET SDK offers, and in general, any command line based application offers, to give the user an experience that they would expect from a CLI application. And this is what System.CommandLine will help us with. And I've never really used it. I played around with it a little bit, but that's about it. So we will be using System.CommandLine to give our application now a nice CLI-based user developer experience.
Nice. Where do we start? I see a tutorial. I'm always quite tempted to go there first.
Yeah, let's do that. So it gives us some, what we will learn. We can create commands, options, and arguments.
Okay.
We can specify default values for options. Yeah, we want to do default values for options because options are optional. We can assign those option arguments to commands. Okay, so apparently we create commands and then tell these commands, okay, those commands offer these arguments and these options. We can assign an option recursively to all subcommands. Okay, so we can have commands and subcommands. Let's see if we actually need this. Okay. There is multiple layers of commands and subcommands. There is aliases. Did I spell that right?
Yes.
Pronounce it right? Yes. Aliases for for options. I think in that case, for example, we can write .NET new --help, and an alias for --help would be .NET new -h, which results in the same thing. It's an alias for the help option of the new command. And what we can have as option types, we can have strings, we can have string arrays, integers, booleans, and also file info. We want to be using the file info because the CS project we're pointing to is a file. And we can do some binding, and we could also have custom code for parsing and validating, but let's see if we actually need that. So we already created a console application, our tool,
Yeah.
and we want to install this NuGet package. So let's go to Visual Studio. Well, what do we want to? Let's install it via the command line. So let's go to our CLI application, open a command line, and we paste this command, .NET add package, which is again, .NET add is a command, package is a subcommand, System.CommandLine is the argument to that subcommand, saying which package I really want to add, and we pass the pre-release option. Because I guess if we wouldn't, it wouldn't work, because if we go to NuGet.org and take a look at System.CommandLine and the versions available, yeah, we see that those are all pre-releases. Pre-release, this is using semantic versioning, where we have the X, the first one is the major version, the Y, the second one is a minor version, and the Z, the third one is a patch release. And then we have the optional dash. And when we have a dash followed by any string, now it's a pre-release. Actually, if we click that, we see this package is a pre-release version. So we would only, if we would not use the pre-release command, we would, that says there is no stable version available. This would be the latest pre-release, and if it actually gives the hint to use the pre-release option. So that's.
Do you often use things that don't have a version? A real version?
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Okay. But you trust this pre-release? What makes you trust this pre-release?
Somewhat. Ooh, fantastic question. What makes me trust it? There is, let's go to my favorite site. It is sites of .NET. There is the API reviews of .NET. This happens bi-weekly, as in twice per week. And one of those items, so this is where the .NET team discusses new APIs that come to the .NET BCL, the base class library. So basically, if we jump to our code, now some time ago, I'm not sure, what this POSIX signal registration that we use here in order to enable our Control-C cancellation experience via the command line. Let's take a look at the documentation. This was added in .NET 6. So that means before the release of .NET 6, the .NET BCL team sat together and discussed these APIs before adding them. And in these meetings, there is also a review of the System.CommandLine. So this is targeted for .NET 8, so for the .NET 8 release to become a stable package. So the stable version, well, this is the current target. Maybe it's not happening immediately. Maybe it's happening later. I'm not sure, but it will happen eventually. So System Command Line will be rather soon be in a stable release. And once the thing is now having a stable release gives a bit of a promise that the API doesn't change constantly. And this is then also the versioning scheme. So if you have, because we have a semantic versioning, that it's the x.y.c option. Let's say we have version 1.0.0, our first version. Now, if we make the next release to be a 1.0.1, a patch release, that would say that no new features have been added, but existing features have been fixed. So only implementation was changed. No API has changed. If we have a minor release, in that case, this would be 1.1.0, that means that new features have been added. So it's backward compatible. Every code that you have written based on the previous version will continue to work because there was only additions to existing features. But if there is a major release, in our case 2.0.0, major releases now indicate breaking changes. So that means that potentially an API was removed or altered. Maybe this create doesn't exist anymore. It has been renamed to, I don't know, something new. So I would potentially need to update my code. So in other words, now this semantic versioning gives a bit of a promise of the stability of the API, and if there's potentially either API breaking changes. So this is if I rename this method now, our code wouldn't compile anymore. So this would be a source breaking change. I could also have binary breaking changes if, what I wanted to go to is behavioral breaking changes. So if I change the behavior, so this could also be then a breaking change. And a release of a major version usually indicates that there has been some sort of breaking change, and not everything might work as it previously had, depending if we actually use that code or not.
Okay. Is it also, because you said like the tiny release where the number only changes right at the end? That's sort of just if the implementation changed, and the slightly larger one is when there were additions. Can you ever have like both, or would that then be
yes
a major release? No.
But this would be then a major release. So if I have in one release changing both, let's say we have a bug. Let's assume maybe this keep leading trivia is a bug and we want to change it to keep trailing trivia.
Yeah.
Well, we don't want to keep any trivia at all. Let's say this was a bug and we want to fix that. So if it's a bug fix, now this would be a patch release, because our API, let's say if I look at the public method that we have here, from an API perspective, it hasn't changed. We just fixed some implementation detail. So that would be the patch release. If we add a new public, let's say we add a new public static void new method. So this is the new method that we add in the new release. This is additive only. This didn't exist previously, so it's new code. Existing code will compile and work just fine. This would be now a minor addition. And I could also have a breaking change. Let's say let's add additional parameter. Let's say we have another string here. I don't know, let's add a string. And actually our code already will stop compiling because we have code using that. So we have, 23 hours, great. And if we now have all of them in one release, it's now a major release. So we would have 2.0.0. Basically, the other ones, the smaller ones, get swallowed in the bigger number.
Okay.
Does this answer the question?
Yes, it does. Okay.
So let's go back to what we previously had. Yes. And since this is, there is actually, so from the pre-release that we're having, because I do follow those design meetings a little bit. What will be changed already is, I think, some of the methods like this option in the stable release will be called CLI option. So there was a rename. So if we then later on upgrade from the pre-release to the stable release, there is already a source breaking change. So we will need to update our code.
But it's like earliest in November, right?
This will, if they release it together with the .NET 8, then yes, that will be in November.
Okay.
But it's like I follow those meetings, so that it's there has been some, can actually follow those discussions, and so there is some changes, like for example adding the CLI prefix to most types. But I think this is like it, that we will not have all too much impact. So we will rename some code, and that's about it. So there are not too many breaking changes coming for us. And I guess this is now, long story short, answering why I trust this package already.
Nice.
Because it is maintained, it will be a stable release, and officially supported by Microsoft. I think it's also used, if it isn't used already, it will be used by the .NET SDK. So it will be broadly used, and maybe there is plenty of other CLI based APIs and libraries that help offering command line applications already. But since this is like the one from Microsoft, I have the feeling that this becomes the most dogmatic version of it. And this is why I trust it, yeah.
Fair enough.
But there is plenty other options, which maybe because they exist for a longer time, they may have way more features already. But since we quite need the basics for now,
yeah,
that suffices for us.
Fair enough.
And let's do .NET Add package System.CommandLine pre-release. And now it actually has been added. So let's go to the, let's revert I want to revert these changes. We now see that in the CS project, we now have System.CommandLine in this pre-release version. And now we can get coding.
Yay!
I just realized I have my window open. Just give me a second.
Elevator music. Du- 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 dun- dun. That's already it. Oh God. No improv skills whatsoever. Fabulous.
Okay. I guess, yeah, let's start with the tutorial. Where do I have the correct tab? Is it here? There it is.
Yay. Okay.
So let's start. Let's go ahead and I will comment out all of our code and we then just paste in what we need back from it. So in our case, let's do an await task.yield and return 0, where 0, if we have a command line application returning an integer, 0 indicates success, non-0 indicates error. So we could have like error codes. Let's say if we return the error code 1, 2, 3, 4, that means that the file wasn't found or something. We can indicate errors through the error code then.
That would be cool. Okay.
And
also
yeah,
for integration or any tests, I suppose.
Excuse me?
If we have error codes, we can also write new tests.
Ooh, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Ooh, should we actually? Yeah, so we will do the integration testing then in the next episode. So currently we don't want to change any behavior that we have so far. We basically refactor it into using System.CommandLine. And then in the next episode, we will actually have all this code that we write here tested. So we didn't do quite test-driven development there, but it's going to be fine.
No. What are we going to do? Yeah, I think it's okay. We'll live.
We'll live.
All right. Okay, what's the... Okay, so
So the entry point to everything in System.CommandLine is the root command. So we want to create a root command and then invoke that root command via the arguments that we got in. So these arguments that we have here are those that we pass via our command line. Currently when, oops, wrong tab, there we go. So when we run, for example, our using globalize system, all of this will be arguments. And this is what System.CommandLine will do for us. It does the parsing and the matching that basically says, okay, if we have using globalized, then it matches to the method, to our code that we want to invoke. And this is now, we need to build those command, subcommand, option argument trees, and then invoke it on the root command and see what happens. Okay. Would you like to take over?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so I suppose it's then the first kind of root command. Is that count? No.
Excuse me, is that count?
Is it using or is it counter?
Let's just create a root command and call it anything. Let's call it using for now.
Okay.
I guess it shouldn't be a root. Let's find out.
Okay, but I'm still confused. I suppose I start here, right, at the top of everything, or below everything.
Yes.
Hello.
I'll buy you some time because Stuart is saying hi.
Yay!
Thanks for joining.
I don't think Stuart can buy me enough time for this. Oh my god, fabulous. Can you just so no, I'm confused. So is the root command just like the variable, that file option thing in the stuff?
No, not yet. We will add the file option later on. Let's just for now create an empty
variable.
Excuse me?
It is just a variable.
Yeah. We still need the variable on which we then invoke or call into invoke async and passing the arguments into it. And we will also return awaited. So for now, let's start with creating a root command. Let's call it, let's add some text here, like our description, or I think
Fine.
just empty string for now, basic one, and then invoke it, and let's see what's happening.
Okay.
Because there will be coming some features with that already, I believe. The namespace is missing. I'll be adding the using System.CommandLine.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Empty root command happened. And then, okay. And then
we can like return await the invoke async of root command.
Okay. Return away. Oh, damn it. It was already, yes. Yes.
Ooh, okay. So one async is, well, I guess it seems that is that the AI assistant tool click from Visual Studio? Well, I guess most of command types have a one async, but System command line, it's called invoke async.
Invoke it. Okay, fair enough. Close.
So let's remove the rest. And now what invoke async is basically fulfilling our promise. So it receives the arguments. It appears we can also pass a console, an iConsole, which we may be using later on for the real implementation. We use the real system console, actually printing to the console. But for our testing, for our integration test, we could pass our fake console that writes to some internal lists that we can write then assertions against. So we can mock basically build a fake for that console and enable testing for us. But I guess this will be coming to that in next episode when we do integration testing. So let's see what's happening. Let's invoke. Am I again in the wrong window? Yes, I am. Let's remove all of it and just since we haven't created the NuGet package as a command line, we are running it from source code, and this is why we need that. We're saying .NET Run, we want to run it in release mode, and we're using the .NET 7 framework. We need to specify the framework here because we have multi-targeting enabled. We target both .NET 6 and .NET 7. So when running the code from source, we need to specify the version. And everything that comes after the -- will then be passed as in this args string array. So this will be the input to our command line application. And let's see what's happening if we pass empty, if we pass nothing. Nothing is happening. But I think that the cool thing is what's already enabled. I think we can do --help. I think this is like already, yes.
Yay.
Because this is now the cool thing about System command line, because we wrote 2 lines of code. And we already got some stuff for free, basically. That's part of System.CommandLine. We get the version option, and we get the help. We get the help option. So this tool, System.CommandLine, creates now for a tool nice help pages, which is amazing. So I guess what it derives here is the name of our project, flashover.tool, but it should actually just be called flashover. So let's find out. So this is our root command. Let's find out how we can change that. Let's take a look at the root command. What overloads, what constructor overloads does it have? So it allows passing a description. And I guess this is it already. I was wondering if we can pass a name to it or something. Let's see what options we have or what APIs we had on root commands. So we can add an alias, we can add arguments, we can add commands. We will be using that for subcommands. So using then will be a subcommand.
Okay.
And we can, it seems to be enumerable. This is why we got the system link extension methods. And I am quite uncertain where to add that. So what will be our description? Let's do my description for now. We can later on come up with the description. So where does this show up? Here. Okay, here it says description, my description. Okay, so we can later on state the more helpful description. And I'm not so sure about how we can define the name. Is there maybe some .name or something? There is. Okay. Would you like to set the name of our root command?
Sure. Yes, I would love that. So do it. Oh my God. Who was it? Stuart? No. Who was it? Who saved me before?
Stuart.
Yeah. Come on.
That,
Buy me some
that,
time. No, okay. Okay, so do we need another variable called name?
no, we
No.
don't, because we will set this.
We will set
this on the
this.
root command already. So we created the root command, and we will now
Okay.
set the name of the
Okay.
root command.
Oh my God. But the thing is, so I'm thinking you already had found the .name thingy, but I feel like that's probably not where you can set it. That's probably where you can call it, right? So this is why I was thinking of a variable
Okay.
to set it, right?
Let's see. So
Does
the
that make
name.
sense?
Where is
No.
the name? So root command derives from command,
Great.
and command now has a. I'm looking at. I guess there is a string. There is no name property. Where's the name? Because it's okay. It also derives from identifier symbol. And okay, identifier symbol now has a. Well, I think it even overrides the property name, and the property name have both a getter and also a setter. What we see here, we haven't specified our name, so it defaults to the default name, which I can assume is System.CommandLine is doing, and sets the default name to, okay, it's not here in this type, but basically to our project name.
Okay.
Now we just want to override it. So we invoke on the root command, we dereference the name, so we say root command.name and assign our name to it, which will be flash over.
Got it. Right, where are we? Here. Fabulous. So okay, but I can do it in the next line. Right? Yes. Root command dot name is capital F.
I think the convention is that command line commands should be all lowercase.
Oh. Start with lowercase. Camel case.
All,
what is it?
yeah, all lowercase.
All lowercase? Oh no. Okay. Gotcha. Oh no. Yes.
I'll be adding this. I'll be adding this, changing this to string if you don't mind.
Oh yes. I forgot it's a string.
And let's run it. This should now say, okay, cool. We now have our root command with the correct name. What I would like to add is a little bit of an about section, because what we had previously is printing to code or not code to. That is the question to the command when starting it. I would like to add this to the about.
Okay.
So what we do now is we create a subcommand, which is just, so we create now just a command, which we will then add to the root command. So let's create a new command. Let's call it the about command.
You're going to just go like this, command.
So yes, and command, what we saw earlier, has a constructor. It takes a name and optionally a description.
Nice.
So let's invoke the constructor, and let's pass a name to it.
And you said about.
Call it about, yeah. But there's a string, so this will be a name. This will be a string about.
And also small, lowercase.
Adding the parentheses back. Yes, I think that's the convention. Always all lowercase with command line applications.
This is not about. Wow, God. Yes, about and description is also string.
Yes, I'm not sure about the description. If you know something, show.
This is our lovely about section. No.
Yeah.
Lovely about section. Enjoy. Okay.
Now, since we want to pass that to the root command, we want to store this in a local variable that we could call
option.
I guess about command.
About command, yeah. About command.
And let's add this to the root command. So before invoking it, we can say what we saw earlier, root command.add command, I believe.
Oh God. Root command dot add, right?
Still, there's an there is an add as well. I thought it's add. And okay, there is an add overload that takes either. Oh, there is 3 add overloads that takes option, argument, and command. Yeah, I think I also saw the add argument method. So the add. There is also an add command method to be explicit, but we could also use the implicit one because there is an overload for command. Yeah, both should work. So whatever you prefer.
I prefer this.
Cool. And now let's run the help on our tool. We should now have an addition. Now we have a command. We have our about command. So if we now write about instead, it doesn't do anything because we haven't set a handler for our about command yet. So the handler will be the callback into the code that we want to invoke. So on the root command, now let's set handler.
Okay. Root command set handler.
And now I need to go cheating. So set handler has various overloads. We see this actually extension methods. So we invoke them. We call them as if they were member methods, but actually they aren't. But that's some C# syntax. What's the word? Syntactic sugar that we have here. And we can now have a handler. We can either have just an action, or we can have an action that gets the invocation context. There is also like value descriptor overloads, some symbols. Okay, there is quite a number of overloads.
Yeah.
But I guess the most simple one, which is just an empty action. So we can now write an empty a lambda, an anonymous method that doesn't take any arguments. Do you recall how this works?
No.
So you basically write opening, closing parentheses.
Yeah. What are parentheses again?
English
lesson back.
Those are parentheses.
Those are the parentheses. Okay.
I think from
but I have them already.
Yes, but we need more. Yes.
We need more. Fair enough.
Now we write the arrow, the equals greater than. Greater than, yes. So the arrow, so that goes to, but after the parentheses.
After the parentheses. Because yes.
So the syntax of a lambda is we have some. Those are optional. We have optional arguments. No, not optional arguments, but they are the arguments.
Yeah.
Could be empty, or we could have multiple arguments. So if we have multiple arguments, we have like first argument, second argument. Optionally, we can also pass the type of the argument. Let's say int, and the second one is a Boolean. Then we have the arrow, and then we have our code, either in a single line, or we do basically what we would do with a method or any other. Yeah, with a method is then open, closing brackets. Are those brackets? I think so. And
see, but this is what's confusing. Like,
I always know. I
feel like pretty good, but like with brackets and parentheses and any sort of like punctuation as well, I get very confused.
Yeah, I always forget too. Sorry.
Yeah, I've sometimes I remember, but most of the time I just forget. Yeah.
I'm now go cheating because let's see. I want to use the Roslin lingo here. So let's have an array. So how are they called? Okay. So let's zoom in. Zoom. So the curly ones are called brace. Those are braces.
Okay.
The round ones are parents or parentheses. And the not rectangular ones, the cornered ones the cornered ones are actually brackets. My bad. Okay, so we have parentheses, brackets, and braces. Okay.
Oh my god. Okay, brackets.
The syntax for a lambda.
Hard. So I think edges. Okay, brackets. We've got braces. That's like nice and swingy braces because they're curly thingies, and the other ones are just the normal parentheses.
So we have parentheses, not sure if we're writing them correctly, brackets, and braces.
Nice.
And we use for the arguments, but it could be empty. If it's empty, then we just have open close. And if we only have one, if we have a single argument only, we could either write it like single as such, or we could also, if we don't use the type name explicitly, we could also omit the parentheses. So there's a lot of options how to write the lambda. So this anonymous function. So if we only have a single argument, we could also write just the name without any parentheses here. But if we state the type explicitly, if we are empty or if we have more than one, like in the example, in this example, we must specify the parentheses. Only if there's a single one without the specific type, then it's optional.
Fair enough. Okay.
I think, is it later C#9 or C#10? We can also specify the return type. Since this is what we pass in as an action doesn't have a return type. So optionally, we could also have the return type in the beginning. So we could have like void in the beginning. And to make it more featurey and more syntactic, we could also make it static. And what you actually see now, this very much looks like as if we were writing just a regular old method, but without the method name. So if we were going ahead, basically, and having, let's say, int, let's put them here as well. The only difference to a regular method is that it doesn't have any name, and we don't have this. Well, there is again different syntaxes, but we don't have the arrow symbol.
Yeah.
There is exceptions to this rule again, but let's not get too deep. So this is actually now with a later C#. This you couldn't make them static in earlier versions of C#. You couldn't state the return type explicitly. What you can. This is why it's optional. This is why we don't have to, because previously it wasn't available, and C# is quite backwards compatible. But what we see now, it actually looks very much like a method, with the difference that it doesn't have a name, and this it doesn't use the arrow in some cases.
Yeah, that looks much more like my comfort zone. That's sort of like stuff that I know, stuff that I recognize. But yeah, it's much cooler if you can write it super short and in one line and with like a little arrow. It's cool. Okay, but what do we want to have in a? What do we want?
What I do know is just pasting in this code that we wrote earlier. I think that we wrote this in the very first episode, haven't we?
I think so, yeah.
And now we moved it from being our first line to going to some command handler. So let's see what's happening if we invoke the about command. Oh no, that did not work.
Great.
Yes, because we still we did add the command. Do we perhaps need to set the handler first and then add the command to the root command? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But let's see. No, it doesn't matter. So why? What are we doing wrong here? Resetting a handler. Oh, I think no. I think we can also pass. Let's take a look at the documentation. Well, so in this case, they also add options. Okay, they have this in the root. No. Do we need to specify? I think because I haven't specified flash over, isn't it? No. Damn it. We do pass the args. I don't see the problem. There it is. We're setting the handler on the root command, not on the about command.
Oh, okay.
So I'll just change this to about command, and this should do the trick. Running about, and there we go. To the code and no code. That's the question.
Nice. Well done.
Now I'm thinking about, should we add this as in, because we do have the version option. We got it for free. If you see -- version, Actually, I think I would prefer to also have this as an option, like doing dash dash about here. So I'm quite uncertain how to do basically this. To have an option, can we change the command to an option?
Yeah, totally. Option. What?
With a P, I believe.
Oh, sorry. Nice.
And what does option look like? Option has a name. No, those are internal constructors. Okay, documentation should show it. Okay, we create an option. Option is generic. So we have, in our case, this will be, I think that's a Boolean. If we only
okay.
if we only state if you only want to have it or not, then I think it's the Boolean. So in our case, you can now make the okay. What is now
These
the
ones.
yeah?
I don't
Totally
know.
forgot the name of these. Let's find out.
Spheres.
What are they called in Voslin lingo? Let's make this method generic. And those, okay, so those is the less than and the greater than tokens.
Nice.
I think in an HTML context, they would be called angle brackets.
Okay, but then how do we get the string?
Yeah, so we can't set a handler. I think we now need a handler because we will be routing this. So we name this into the about option. And this will be now part of the root command. So I think we need to add a handler to the root command and pass in, and then using the overload from the set handler, which gets the invocation context, and through the invocation context, we can get the state of this option. Does this make sense?
Absolutely not. But I heard root command here, so I feel confident about changing that. And then you said other stuff that I didn't get.
So there is one overload that has an act. We're now using the empty action one, which doesn't take any arguments. We can use this action one, which has an invocation context. So let's use that. So instead of having the empty one, we can say invocation context. And or just use the short term, the short version if you prefer it, context. And I think on the context we can get the options. So there should be some method if you would mind exploring the context in line 20, creating a new line for 24, and exploring what we have available on the context.
Yes. I just because you specified the line number, and I actually can't see the line numbers on my end, but it's fine. I think I figured it out. This is where you wanted. Yeah. Fab. Okay, sorry. On the oh my god, my brain just stopped working for a second. What am I exploring again? The options on the root command, right?
Yeah, so let's write on the context. So the context that we have, let's just write dot and see what this context has available for us.
Dot. Okay. Only I can see this. No,
and we have some binding context. We have a console. Maybe we should we could replace this console with that console to use like the more native experience, so that we actually then later on make the console mockable. We can set an exit code. We have access to the parser and the parse result. Okay, I was hoping for getting some option. Maybe this is done via the binding context. So if we write dot binding context,
binding context like this,
and
with a capital C.
So I'll have context dot binding context.
Oh, okay.
And on the binding context,
I can't see anything.
Me neither. Oh, does this exist? Binding context, there it is.
Yeah.
Ah, there we go. Okay, and binding context. Now contemplation should work. It doesn't.
It doesn't, no.
Well, then let's do it manually. We have a console. We have services. Oh no, that's not. Sorry, this is not what I was looking for. There is a parse result, and the parse result holds tokens. Does it have like some options? I want to get options or something. Get value for option. This sounds promising. Where we can then pass the option and get the Boolean value out of there. And if the Boolean is true, then we print the
Okay.
What's it called? Then we print our text. So let's say dot parse result.
Parse result? Yes.
Dot get value for option.
No. Dot get value for option.
And now we can pass our option. So we do have our about option available here. Oh, yeah, cool. And I'm wondering now, since this is generic of Boolean, do we now get, okay, so we now get the T of the option, which is Boolean, as a return. So we should now be able to.
So, yeah. So if
assign this to a,
this, then do all of that, right? Yeah. Oh. Great.
And now we can't, okay, since this is an option to the root command, we can't add it. But how do we add an option to the root command? I think there is an overload on command to, there is an options read only list. How can we add an option to the command? Why does this looks promising. We see root command dot, not about command doesn't exist anymore. I'll just replace this to about option. This could do the trick already.
All right, let's try.
So we say dash dash about, and it says unrecognized command or argument. Okay, that's sad.
Okay.
Let's go dash dash help. We didn't add the dashes. Okay.
Okay.
So we should add convention based. We should add 2 dashes there. Or minus s, whatever the correct name is.
Here, right? Yeah.
Now running it again. So running now the help. So we see now, okay, about has the correct syntax, and we say dash dash about. And it prints the code or not the code.
Yay!
I'm wondering if the version still works. It does. Haha, fantastic. Cool.
I love it.
Is there an alias for -v for the version? No, there is not.
Should we make one?
Do we want? We could, but I'm not sure how to invoke this version then. Well, if it's not, I guess it's fine.
Okay.
I was thinking, should we have a -a alias?
Yes.
Or is it not? Is it not that often use? The about section is not that often invoked, so maybe it doesn't justify an alias.
Okay, I would agree with that, but also we are here to learn, so
Excellent.
let's do it.
Add an alias. I'm not sure how to do that. Okay, so there is, instead of passing just a name, we can pass a string array of aliases. So we now convert our single string into a string array and then pass as a second element in this array the -a alias. Okay,
let's try this.
While doing that, Friesen6 says hello.
Hello.
Thank you very much for joining.
Okay, should we?
I'm on the right screen. There we go.
Yeah. All right, so we have a string here, right? That we want to change. So to a string array that has
not in there. What you specify what you specify in the brackets is the length of the array.
Yes. 2.
So this must be an integer. This must be a number. I think it even has to be. It expects an integer. I'm not sure if a long value would work, but it expects an integer. And then we need the braces for the initialization of the array.
Nice. Yes, that's the correct thing, right? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Then we need minus minus about.
Mm-hmm.
And we need minus. Oh, that's plus. Nice. A.
I think the convention is for aliases to only have one dash. Or I think for a single character option,
Fine.
it is one S.
It's still
A.
broken though.
One dash. So because this is invalid. We need to. What we're doing here is we basically, we want to create a new array. If that gives a hint. to initialize, because an array is that we instantiate a new array, and that requires the new keyword, and this should do the trick. So if we now do dash help, we should see this in the help section that we can say dash a or dash about, and if we do dash about, that still works. And if we say just the dash a, then there we go.
Nice.
Friesen6 is he loves that it's every time the two of us streaming.
Yeah. Yeah, we love it as well, and we love that you're one of our regulars. So welcome back. Thank you for joining.
And recently, they switched to a junior dev in C# and .NET land. Feel free to give any tips and advice. Let us know which version of .NET are you currently using, and which version of the C# language are you currently using.
Yeah, and congratulations about your new job. I hope it's really, really cool. I have a question about the about section. It's completely overkill and silly, but I now know how to make aliases.
I've infected you. I'm so sorry.
So, and in the help section, we have 2 aliases. One is dash, H, and the other one is dash ? So I would like to also add dash ! to be our about section, because I think that's funny. Is that a problem in any way?
No, I think we need a dash to satisfy the syntax. The convention. I don't know. Let's find out if the parser is allowing non-letter characters. So the parser of System.CommandLine. Let's go in dash help, and it shows the exclamation point.
Yay!
So it looks like so cool. Valid, and it works like a charm.
Perfect. Amazing.
I like that. It looks very symmetrical. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
We're all about symmetry here in To Code or Not to Code.
What I also had somewhere, do I still have this code? Because I think in the beginning, I still have, So what I had previously is also to print the current MS build version that we use. So it would be cool to also have an option to show, this for potential debugging. So if later on our tool is in use and we are not sure, something doesn't seem to work, but to find out which MS build version, because we do use this MS build locator, which tries to find the right .NET SDK or think Visual Studio installed version, depending on how it's installed on your machine, and depending on the environment and the operating system, and it does a lot of stuff, and potentially maybe not finding the version that we expect for some reason. I don't know. So I would like to have an option in the root command that displays this information as well.
Okay, easy.
So in other words, I will be just grabbing, because we need that anyway. So this will be the first thing, because without that, all of our tool is based on finding this MS build thing. So let's do this first line. Or no, you know what? Let's do this here. And now I would like to have an option that we can set. So we add another option. I'm not sure about the name though, how to print this information. Info
MS
maybe.
info.
Do we call it info?
Info. Let's think. Would that be confusing? Is there anything else that could be mistaken for info? Nothing comes to mind. I like info.
Because, well, for now it says the MS Build versions we found. Maybe later on it prints additional info of some environments that we have or whatever's. So let's create this option as well. I think we
Should
need
I create it up in line
think we
20
need-
or?
I think we need to create it before our handler because we want to refer to this option. So we need to create it before.
Ah. Okay, let's. I'll get to that later.
And Friesen 6 is currently using C# 10 and .NET 6. I can imagine
Nice.
that by the end of the year, when .NET 8 is out and the LTS version, you may be switching to C# 12 and .NET 8. But yeah, I think the code that we write, it's very much C# 10 and .NET 6 compatible. If we do some C# 11 or .NET 7 stuff, then we will point that out.
Will do. Okay, so this is another variable called what is it? Info option. Yeah. Info option. Oh my god. Yes, info option. That makes sense. Perfect. Amazing. Great. Then we have a new option, and that's what am I writing? Yes. Oh, this is terrible. Okay. And is that type bool as well? So we can have if this.
Yeah. So this will also be a bool.
Book. It's a book in my world. Oh, guys. Right. And we will pass. What will we pass?
So that is again a collection of strings that is the options and its aliases.
New string array of two with okay, let's have first dash info, right? Let's have dash I.
Cool.
And let's have symmetry goes first. What's like a special character that reminds you of information?
Question mark, but that's taken already.
Was taken already. Okay, I can give you three options. $, because knowledge is power and power is money. So kind of like the information will make money. Or this percent thingy, because I don't have a story for that. Or and. Because and is like adding something to your knowledge with this information.
I prefer and or the sharp symbol from C#, but I don't know.
What about, oh, is that stupid? What about a plus? No. All right, let's go with this.
Minus plus? Why not? Why not?
Nice.
Minus plus it is.
No one will ever use this. But yeah, no, never mind. I like it.
Let's add a brief description. Something like shows information about the environment in use or the discovered environment. Friesen 6 is suggesting the hashtag for knowledge. Like in,
that's also what you liked.
Like in social media hashtagging.
Yeah. Hashtag. Or we just, how about hashtag knowledge? Actually, I'm quite happy with the hash.
Okay.
What do you think?
Hash
because it also, I also like the shape.
It
kind of also looks like two small eyes. right?
Ah, okay.
In my head.
Well, I think I'm not sure if this is true, but I think that the sharp from C sharp is because it's, well, there is C, then
C
there is C++,
knowledge.
and C sharp is like the next version. It's C++++, and the pound symbol, the sharp symbol, is actually like
Ah,
four little pluses.
yeah.
I think this is like the history of how C sharp got the name of.
Oh, that's so smart. I like that. Information about our about our, what did you say?
About the
Environment.
environment in use.
Um,
And what we have now is a bit of a compiler error because we said, hey, please create us an array with the length of 2, but we're actually
oh,
passing 3 items to it. So this is ambiguous, and which also means if we explicitly, because, well, actually those braces are optional. What we could do instead, we could like create an array variable, then create a new string array with the length of 2, and then initialize it manually. Let's say array on index 0. Arrays in C# are 0 based, basically having the first element, and at index 1 having the second element. Now, if I would have 2, this would throw, what does it throw? Out of bound exception or something, because it only has a length of 2, index 0 and 1, there is no index 2, because this would require a length of 3. And but we could also like implicitly inline initialize with that. And if we do that, then the array length becomes optional because the compiler can infer from the elements, the amount of elements that we use. We have 3, so it can infer the 3. So if you prefer, we could actually get rid of the 3 here, because the compiler can infer the length from the collection, from the array initializer. Or we can keep it explicit, how you prefer.
I mean, to be honest, I prefer it explicitly because we only want 3 options and we want to be consistent and we want to have a symmetry. But I remember on a different stream, one of our viewers was saying that seeing like explicitly lengthened strings make them nervous. So I don't want to make our viewers nervous. so maybe we should get rid of it.
Okay. Then I'll move the lower one and the upper one. And okay, so now we have the option, now we have the info option. So we need to add the info option to the root command, and then we're able to use it in our handler of the root command.
Okay. Just copy this, right? No?
Yes.
Yes. And info. I'm not going to write option again. I've already messed it up too many times today. Perfect. Done.
Now we can, in the handler now, can write similar code. So if this value exists, well, if this is set true, then we can consume that, and I'll be grabbing that code from down there.
Just another if, or is it like an else if?
No. Well, actually an else if. Well, if we would, what happens if we set both commands? What should happen? Which one should win if we set both? Or do we want to print both?
Both.
That's not a question. Both. Then it's a regular if. Because if you had an else if, then the second if would not be evaluated if the first one evaluated to true already. So this will be the info command. Cool. And I'll be just pasting the code that we had earlier. We also need to cache the foreground color and setting it to green and then printing it. And let's see what will happen. If we do -? to invoke the help, we get our new version. And let's do -# or -#. I don't know how the symbol is called. Let's go into
hash.
Like
Isn't
in
it hash?
Roslyn. I want to use the Roslyn lingo.
Oh,
so
sorry.
How's that called?
Then I have no clue.
Let's see if we add that here. This would be the. I think there is like how does this get defined or something? This would be the hash token. It is indeed.
I'm always using Rosalind lingo. Been using it my whole life.
And yeah, and that works. So we found the .NET Core SDK 70304, which actually, if we go into .NET, something new, if we go to .NET --help, we see that I think this is where I got the info from. So for the .NET SDK also has options and has an info option to display information. I think this is where I got the info from, to be like in line with that. It doesn't have an I, it doesn't use an I alias, but alias.
Boring.
Alias. So there we go. But boring. I think they got this is where I got it from. And if I do --list SDKs to list all of my SDKs that I've installed, yeah, so it finds the latest one that I currently have installed on my machinery.
Okay.
And so that's cool. That's cool. Okay. And I think now we are set on like some options and some debugging information. I think now it's time to add the commands, so the subcommands. One for our globalizer and one for our using counter. Let's start with the counter.
Okay.
That we then want to invoke with. So our, do I still have it? Yes. So the syntax will be, we will have a using subcommand, which will have a count subcommand, and this count subcommand of the using subcommand then accepts a file path as an argument. So I guess let's start with creating the using subcommand, which is just a command.
Okay.
I guess we can do this after adding those options here.
Okay. So what is it called? Did you say?
The using command.
Command is a new command. No. Yes. Is it? Okay.
And this command now takes, I think, a name and a description. It does name and optionally a description.
Sorry, sorry.
So, using.
Using.
You know what? I'll be pasting that here so that we don't have to tab all the time. This will be our syntax or our layout.
Okay. And what does the description say? Using user stuff. Using does things. Using.
Let's add something. We can change it later.
Using
to make it more descriptive.
Uses people don't trust it. No. Using. Oh my God. Using does things.
Excellent.
Fabulous.
And we will be adding this using command to the root command.
Yes. Root command dot add on using command. Nice. Easy.
Now we create another command, the count command.
Command is new. Command, yes. And it takes count and it is super good at counting.
And we will be adding the using command as a subcommand to the we add the count command to the we add the count command as a subcommand to the using command. Okay, that's confusing.
Yes, no, easy. Okay, we get root command, right? Dot.
No, to the using command. We already added the using command to the root command, so that's cool.
So I don't have to go through the root command to get to the using command. Gotcha.
I believe so, yeah.
All right, fair enough. Add count command.
Cool. And now we need to set a handler for the count command, the code that we'll be executing.
Yeah.
I guess actually, no, hold on. First we also need to create an argument, which will be the file path. I think, I'm not sure. We haven't created an argument so far, but I think it's like the equivalent to an option, but just It's not an option, but an argument. Does this exist? Argument? Cool. What does an argument take? It takes. It optionally has a name. Argument also has a name. Okay, and a description. Yeah, let's give it a name and a description.
Right, and the name will be file path, right? And description will be is super good at file pathing.
There we go.
The path to the file.
To the CS project. CS path to the CS project.
Path.
Or to the project. Let's call it project.
Project.
Well, actually, we only support C# projects, so it should be CS project.
To the CS.
Or we call let's call it C# project. I think this is less confusing than CS proj, because that's the file ending. Yeah.
C# project.
Cool.
Oh no, it doesn't like me. Why?
Because it takes a string name and that constructor is protected. Ooh, we can't initialize. Oh, this constructor is not available for us.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how do we define. Okay, I'm searching in the documentation how to define an argument. We need to use the generic version of the argument. So we can now use, because this will be a file path, we should be able to use the type file info. From what we saw earlier in the overview, it says that it supports the type. No, that's from this Casala tutorial.
File info, yeah.
It supports file info, yes. So let's use file info. Cool, nice. Cool. And basically what you had earlier. So maybe just Control Z, it back. I'll copy the file info. So we still need the rest of it. If you don't, can you revert? Can you Control Z? Can you revert to what you previously? And I'll just pasting this in here. Okay, it's cool. Now that works. And now let's add this file path argument to the using command.
Dot add.
Okay, now we can write the handler of the using command.
Using command dot set handler.
Set handler, yes, that's right. And I would now like to use a different overload, because there is also an overload that takes I-value descriptors. And I think I-value descriptor, I think this argument that we created here, if I read the docs correctly, is an I-value descriptor. Okay, so we can now, so the first argument will be the lambda again, but we can have as an input this file path again. So let's call it, in this case, file path. Yes, the problem that we have now, yes, you can write file path. The problem that we cause here now is that we have a name clash. We have here the file path argument, and also here again. So this will say, okay, it doesn't, but it's like a file. We declare the same name in the scope. What we could do is making it static, which now resolves this ambiguity. Nice. Because a static lambda doesn't have access. It cannot capture anything from here. So it's now basically its own thing.
Okay, and now we need. Oh, that's not it.
The braces, I think. And I'll be searching the code that we will be using. It's basically that method. Okay.
Did you copy it? What happened?
Yes. So I'll paste this in. Let me format it like so. Okay. I hope we are able to make this in. I will now change it to async. So that we can. Okay. Does this? Well, it's static. So that should work. What's the problem? A static anonymous function cannot contain a reference to this or base. But this is static as well. Okay, that doesn't work. That means we can't have that one static, unfortunately, which means we need to rename the file path here. I'll call it file path argument.
Nice.
And okay, so now we need the workspace. Oh yes, so there's more code that we need. We need this code here. So we'll be creating our MS Build workspace. We do have our file path, so we should be able, so this file path now is oh no, we don't know yet because we also need to pass this file path argument. We can pass in here as a second parameter to this. No, it's not a parameter, it's an argument in this case, to the set handler method. So after the closing brace, yeah.
Yep.
We should be able to add the file path argument.
This file path argument. Easy.
And now we see, or this should be, I thought this was typed now. It says question mark. Can we give it like file info directly? Now we have it typed. Okay. And so now from the file path, we should be able to get a string, because in our case, we need a string to the project file path. So I think that file path has some property that we can refer to.
So just file path to string or something like that?
Let's see. Let's do file path dot and let's see what options are there. Maybe I think there is a path property, or maybe
instead of this.
Yes.
Yeah. File path. Oh my god. Yes. Dot.
Is there some name or some path property? Oops, sorry. I need to name. Let's use name.
Name. Okay.
Well, no, name. Name isn't the full. Is it? It's just the file name, not the
full name.
Is the full name? Yeah, let's use full name. Cool. And okay, cancellation. Let's deal with cancellation later on. Let's do a to-do here, and let's just pass cancellation. Cancellation token.none for now. So we can't cancel it, but let's see what's happening. Let's go to the -- help. And we now should be able to have, we have the flash over command. And there we have the using. So here's now our using command. And that this shouldn't have the file path on it. Did we set this up wrongly? The file path is part of the use. Yeah, it should be part of the file path argument is on the count. So we're not using the using command here. We should use the count command.
Okay. Count command.
We're also replacing it for the handler. Yes. And let's go into the CLI again. Let's see what we got. We have, now we have our super good using. So if we say using command, I think now this should work the same way. We can say using -- help. We get help again, and it says, the usage is flash over using, and we have here the count command. So again, we could now say using count, which is now the sub command. And here we get the usage to say using count, and we can pass the file path here.
Nice.
And now we should be able to just, what I had earlier, so here is using count is basically the same string that we passed earlier, but now via System.CommandLine. And this counts the using.
Yes.
There we are.
Perfect.
Fantastic. I love it. And I think, cancellation, because if I do Control C here, it says attempting to, although it was trying to cancel, but it still was running through because we're not implementing cancellation. And that I have to go check because I do not know how this works with System command line. I think there is a handle termination.
Yes.
We can. In our case, we need to use the context here, because via the context we can get the cancellation token.
Yeah.
But how do we now get the argument? I think we again say context.parseResult, and then instead of get value for option that we used so far, we can use get value for argument, I believe, to get our file info. So this should then do the same thing here. So let's get, I'll change this to context, and then you could change grabbing the file path from the parse result and getting the token from the context as well. So I'm going ahead and using the set handler. This will be, which overload is that? This overload, which takes in a invocation context. I'll call it context. Do you like explicitly stating the name, the type of the argument, or do you want to have it implicit? I think I have the feeling I've asked this question already.
Yeah. It's tricky. Usually I do prefer explicit, but that's also because like I'm new at this whole thing and sort of like, you know, like I'm kind of like, you have to tell me exactly what you're doing, otherwise you're losing me. But
I like explicit too.
Let's do it. Why not? Also because I have to triple check all the types whenever I sort of am on my own. But yeah, so great. Okay, fabulous.
Before grabbing the code, Wiesel says hi.
Hi! Thank you so much for joining.
He also says the hand says hello, which is a person I have never seen, only saw the hand of waving in the camera when we had some online programming sessions.
Anonymous. I like it. Okay. Mysterious. Kind of like Batman.
Ooh, just as anonymous as our lambdas are.
Wow, that was also good.
And that was cheesy, I know. So let's now grab the file path from the parse result of the context.
But here, right? No. Okay. Context. Is there not? Okay, I can't grab it directly from here. So you said something about parse.
There's parse result.
There's a
Does autocompletion not work again?
No.
Parse result.
This is what it's sort of tells me to do.
Yeah, this is incorrect. We need the parse instead of the parser. We need the parse result.
Okay, got it. Come on. Parse result. Yes, nice.
And this should now have a method such as get value for argument.
This isn't a method. Okay, get.
Does it?
Get
value for argument. Yes, easy. Cool. And in there we pass in our file path argument.
Path. Oh God, I'm struggling. Fabulous.
Which I think now means because we use the context here, I don't think we need this anymore. So I think we can get. Or is there another overload that takes no? Yeah, so we don't need the tier anymore. I'll be removing that. Okay, cool. So we have so let's store this into the file path variable, and this should be good to go already.
Yes. File. Okay, the file path is
sweet. And now we grab the cancellation token, and I think the cancellation token is context.get cancellation token, if I recall correctly.
Something like that. Context dot get cancellation token. Ooh, what about this?
Yeah, we don't want to throw here. We want to pass it to our async method.
Okay. Already got excited here.
Because we do have tests already to cover that our using counter is correctly canceling. So we now have two options. Either you pass it inline, so basically move this code inline here, or you store it also in a local variable and then pass the local variable here.
Inline. Don't have space for this. Right.
Instead of the cancellation token. Yes. We're moving that, and we should now support cancellation. Let's give it a go. I'll start it, and I hit Control-C, and it says operation canceled, and it didn't execute. Wonderful.
Nice.
Well done. And I think this pretty much concludes like the using counter already. And now we do the same thing for the globalizer. And
Okay.
I think that's the last step left to go. I'm looking at the code. So because what we had previously is this with this POSIX signal kind of cancellation thing, we don't need this anymore. It's a System.CommandLine under the hood taking care of us. We just grab the cancellation token here. So we get rid of a lot of code. So what we have left is what we did here is like manual help, which is amazing from System Command Line because it creates all these help pages and help options already. So we can get rid of these. All that's left is now having the globalizer in place, which looks like this. So we write, the syntax will be using globalize. Then we have an argument. I'm not sure if this is the best combination of argument and options yet. First, I would like to basically have the same functionality as we had before. Then later on, we can discuss maybe this should be like maybe we should change the order, or maybe we should turn this into an option. I'm not sure yet, but we can think about this later. So for now, we create now we do have the using subcommand already. We now create a one key globalize subcommand that has two arguments: the using name argument, or the using to globalize, the using name, and again the project path.
Okay.
So I guess we should be quite able of reusing this file path argument for the same command as well, and just add it to our new globalize subcommand. So we need one new argument for the using name.
And can I just add that kind of here? No, not here. Here. Yes. Like, what is it? It's the globalize command. Yes. Globalize command. And that's a new command. Okay.
We can give it a name and optionally a description.
Not optional. We need it for symmetry.
You totally. If you say for symmetry, this is how you convince me of anything.
Yeah. Good. Globalizing. Is that right? Is that English? I think so. It's not German.
I guess it's American English, yes. Now we add this globalize command as a subcommand to the using command, which we already added as a subcommand to the root command. Hallelujah.
I know. I know. My brain is struggling. Okay. Dot add. It's already been a long day, and then this. Right. Globalize command. Easy.
And now we need a handler for our globalize command, and we're good to go.
Okay. Globalize command. Set handler. All right. And now we need a lambda function, of course, which is also very easy to do. We need first some parentheses for something. I'm learning so much today. Oh my God. Very good. Good stuff. Mostly the word parentheses, but something, baby steps. All right. And do we still, are we using, is it kind of similar to the count command where we use a context and then do stuff? Yes.
Very much so, yeah.
So invocation context. Can I just call it that? It's a different thing, right?
Yes. So those two anonymous methods, those two lambdas, they are not in the same context, so we can reuse the names. Yeah. Well, one context is the wrong word. It's not in the same scope.
This okay.
And I guess I'll be actually, now that I think about it, we need this code as well, so I'll be moving that out. which maybe just at the top. There we go. And then pasting in that code. And I think, yeah, what we now need is to extract, again, the cancellation token, the path, and the using name.
Nice. I can just copy that, right? Because it's the same thing.
Yes. And also the how we grab the argument.
How we grab the argument?
Via the parse result. So what we do here with the get value for argument.
Oh, I'm so confused.
Because that
here's
is
the argument. This argument.
Because we see those are two different scopes. So we don't have the file path here, the file path from here available from here. So we need to do the same thing to extract this file path variable via the
nice.
parse result.
Easy. Okay. When I see we need to do the same thing, well, when I hear that, I feel like pasting.
And now, so
also, if you're a regular, you will notice that my copy-paste skills have also improved dramatically. Yeah, so learning useful things every time. Okay, and then we need the cancellation token thingy copy-pasting. Perfect. Easy. Nice.
And now we need to get a hold of the local using, or the using. So we need another argument. Because we do have the file path argument already, we now need to create a new argument for the using name. Because we need to grab that too.
And probably before we go into that, all of that, right? So
yes, yes.
Local using argument.
We can call it usual. We could call it using name. Using name argument, or local using argument. How you prefer?
Using name argument is a new argument.
Now this will be just a string.
Okay, like this. No.
It appears that you are approaching the elite level of copy pasting.
Oh my god! This is the greatest compliment I've received all day. This just made my day. Thank you so much. Very proud of myself.
With good reason.
Okay, new argument of type. I wrote string in there before, but then you looked so serious, and then I was like, I don't think this is correct. But I think it is correct now. Again, I've high hopes.
Yeah.
Confident. Okay.
And again,
then we
can
need
give
a
it
name.
Yes, and a description. Well, the description is optional, but yeah.
The description is not optional. Definitely not. Okay, but what is it? What is
the
how do we
name? The name of the using to globalize. Also no Blödsinn. That's
German lesson included.
So the name maybe is just using.
Oh.
Maybe just using. And the description then can be more
name
elaborate
of the using, and what was saying?
Yeah.
Name of the using. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, and then
we need to add that to the globalize command.
Easy. Right? Using name argument, yes.
Yes. And we now can, via the context parse result, also get the value of this argument that we then pass in down there.
Easy. I hear copy paste.
I think maybe this works for you. If you place your cursor, maybe this then grants you makes you elite. If you place the cursor and hit Control D for duplicate, it should duplicate that line. Does it work via? Yes, it does. Via live share and such.
I love it. I'm gonna write that down.
I think in Visual Studio Code it's Alt and arrow down. I always forget. Every IDE does it slightly differently, but every editor has this kind of duplicate this line. functionality. Most
What do we
do.
call it?
Local using.
Yep.
And it appears we're good to go.
Is it?
Just
No.
run it. Also, already ran it. Let's see.
No.
Ooh, there was a problem. Argument.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah,
now
because
becomes
it's still file path argument that we're passing, and we need to pass the using name argument.
So it cannot
Passing.
convert from. Okay.
I just
okay.
said it because we still had this.
Yes.
We don't need this, right? We need. Oops. Now I destroyed everything. Great. Good stuff. We need the using name argument.
Cool.
Yes.
Let's run it again.
I'm confident.
Unrecognized command or argument. So this argument is not.
Okay. But also because we didn't put it. Did we put it in the thing? We didn't put it in the globalize using async thing, right? No, we did local using.
We still have to edit. Yes, you're right.
Do we? Didn't we put it?
No, we add we have added the file path argument to the count command, but we haven't added it to the globalize command yet. No, you meant something different.
But we did.
What did you mean?
It's here, isn't it?
Oh yes. We grab it here, but it doesn't exist because we haven't added it to the globalize command actually. We did add the using name argument.
Yes.
But we haven't added the file path argument just yet.
Perfect. I understand completely everything. I'm so confident now that I was, that I got a compliment about my copy pasting skills. I'm like a new person. Okay, file path argument .name. It says it suggests .name, but I don't think we need it.
No.
Okay.
Yep. And if we run that again, I hit Control C. Okay, it was too late. And it 6 occurrences of using system were globalized into the global using. And let's take a look at GitHub diff, and we see that indeed those usings have been replaced again, and it works as expected.
Nice.
And let's also reproduce our bug. So if we discard these.
You're just a masochist. Let's just reproduce the bug.
Well, to ensure that we haven't changed any behavior.
I wouldn't mind changing that behavior. Like.
Next episode.
Okay, fair enough.
Because then we will have an integration test forcing us to.
Nice.
Okay, so let's run that again. And we should have the yes. And taking a look at here, it didn't do anything. Interesting. That's surprising. Oh, no, there we go. It just took a while for GitHub Desktop to understand the changes. So we created a new global usings file. And all of the usings have been extracted. And in the CS purge, we have the same bug again.
Okay. Which
we'll fix next time when we have an integration test that forces us to fix it. Wonderful. I think there's one more thing I want to try. If cancellation is working as expected, Control C. No, that actually was not canceled. Okay, let's. I'll just try to make it cancelable by. I'll go cheating here. I'll write something, and then do a task.delay. I'll delay this for 1 second, so that we have a chance to
cancel it.
Cancel it. Yes. So let's run it. Something, Control C, and it's canceled. Nothing has happened. Okay, cool. So I think we have all the functionality that we had last time, but now using System.CommandLine, which grants us a wonderful experience with all the help. So we can say globalize --help, and we get some indicators how to use that command with the arguments passing, with just script, with very revealing descriptions. And it is super good to globalize. There is a chance I may be elaborating on the descriptions a bit, if you don't mind.
Yeah, you can open an issue maybe.
Okay.
I'll review it. I'll think about it.
And what I would like, because this we also hinted on this, I will just play with it just slightly. We will then elaborate this in the integration test session next time, because this is when we're actually using it. But I think it's now creating a bit of a cliffhanger. Maybe I'm trying to do that. So instead of using console dot, using the console that is supplied via the context. So first of all, I'll be making this into because you said you prefer explicitness. I'll also make this very explicit. I'll also make we can't make this. We can't make this a static one, because we actually refer to local variables here. So we need that to be non-static. And now let's replace. Maybe try to replace. Let's see what context, because context has a console property. Where is it? There it is. It has an iConsole property, and iConsole is it implements iStandard out. Guess this is what we're gonna using.
Nice.
And it has an out stream standard stream writer, and the standard stream writer has a write method.
Nice.
Okay, it appears that we can't use colors here. Actually,
how dare they?
So this is maybe not what we want, is it?
Oh my god, in 2023 I can't even customize that.
But again, yeah, I mean, I think because, well, it's a general purpose interface. So this general purpose iStandard error, or the iStandard out, this is the one that we'll be using, doesn't, because it could be a console which doesn't support coloring. And since it's a general purpose interface from the System.CommandLine.
What console would that be?
Well, I guess
Nintendo.
I think I'm actually not sure if like
Even they had color though.
It's not. It's a terminals. I think is the right term. It could be that all the terminals don't support colors, or some
really
remote.
It just burst a massive bubble that I was. Yeah, never mind. Okay, cool. But I have a question though before we move on, because we still have a lot of like commented out code that we were using previously that we no longer use. Can we just go through this just for my head, for my brain?
Yes. I'm trying. Okay, let's see if we actually need any of that. So we have, this was our notes. We have pasted. Oh yes, actually, I don't have the workspace failed callback. I didn't add this, so let's add that as well. And so we are using this code. We have replaced our custom parser with System.CommandLine, and all that's left is basically then at the end.
The workspace doesn't compile.
Because we don't have. Oh yeah, I need to put it after we are having the workspace. Yes, and I think So this is our old code, and return codes. How can we? Well, it appears that I guess that the default is 0 if we don't have any error. If we do have an error, I think context also has an error code. So we could, if we run like in an error situation, let's say some error happened, or maybe
soap scheme member error happened. I love it.
Maybe if we put that into a, how does this work? KS try. If we surround this with a try catch, and if an exception occurs, then we could set via the context, I think, context dot error code, exit code to, let's say, 1.
Nice.
And else we could be explicit. Else we set it to 0, where 0 indicates success and non-0 indicates an error. But I would expect that it's default. The default integer is 0. So let's set an exit code if something goes wrong. let's do the same thing for the count handler as well. Surround this with a try catch, and in the case of an exception, we set via the context, the exit code to. We can later on be more like catching explicit or catching specific exceptions and then returning exit codes accordingly. Let's say if file not found returns exit code 1, some other error exit code 2. We can elaborate on exit codes later on, and maybe then also document it in our tool so that we can map like an exit code occurred. We can map this to a specific error.
I like that.
And now I'm actually wondering what is happening. If
Me too.
Well, actually, if we cancel the operation, this is actually throwing. Oh no! Oh, we actually do catch the exception and say operation canceled. If we don't catch this exception anymore, so let's move. Let's not catch it here.
Okay.
So I wonder if we cancel, what will happen? Let's do a globalize one. Okay, nothing. But is there a way how to read the exit code? So we are in PowerShell. PowerShell get last exit code. How can we get $last exit code? Okay, $last exit code. Oh, and you see the exit code is 1. And if we let it run, if we don't cancel it, it means we don't have any exception that we catch. Now the last exit code should be 0.
Nice.
Okay, so that works and gets communicated correctly. And I think now we have restored the same functionality we had before, but using System.CommandLine. There is no more commented out text, and I think we no longer have any to-dos, do we? If you go to the task list, there is no more to-do comments in the code.
Okay. Some of those usings aren't being used, are they? If you go.
Indeed. Let's get rid of them. Remove unnecessary usings. Clean it up. Wonderful.
Perfect. Now I'm happy.
And I would like to just give this console a try.
Yeah,
Could we
totally.
try to replace just the white lines and see if the rest still works? By using the console that is passed in the set that is passed via this context. So using context.console instead.
Yes, we can. I just kind of lost you a little bit. Can you just click anywhere so I can like follow you and be in the correct page? Yes. Perfect. Sorry, with the live share and everything. Yeah, perfect. Okay, I'm here. So we're talking about this write line, and we want to use the context.console thing, right?
Yes.
I'm just gonna write context.console.
Yep. What does this offer? This should now offer. Yes. So we can now say, is it an error? Is it? I guess we use the standard out, because under the hood, what console.writeLine is doing, it is writing to the out stream. You can think on a console, on a command line level, you have 3 different streams. You have the input stream for arguments. You have an error stream to print errors and a regular out stream to print information.
But I still need the write line. It's just out.writeLine.
I believe so. So out dot, and what does this has? It has. Well, it just has a write. It doesn't even have a write line. Or is there maybe an extension method that has write line? Oops, sorry. If I just add write line, is there? No, that doesn't seem to be an extension method. So we need to use the write actually. Yeah.
Okay.
And let's pass the string in there.
Nice. Oh my god. Oh, this is not good. See, if I like double click it and go word by word, it actually
includes the.
So much, such a long way until I can actually call myself expert copy paster. But
I'm wondering.
getting there.
I'm wondering if that's working the same way. So if we do I still have the command? Let's say what's that? That's in the about. I think we add a dash exclamation point in here.
Yes. Perfect.
Too good or not too good.
Yay.
And still works with color because we do now use the regular console, because I can imagine that the console that System.CommandLine is actually using under the hood is the implementation is basically just forwarding to the console.writeline, but we can now mock it. So we can now have our own outstream in our, let's say, test purpose console or iConsole implementation, and then we can actually test in our integration tests that this string gets printed. Well, not printed in the case, but written.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but we can't do that with this out because we can't access it through our tests, right?
Actually, no, this is exactly how we need to do it. So we can't do, if we want to test it, we can't use console.writeline because we can't, this is a static method, we can't replace it. But since this console that we have here is just an interface, what we can now do in the next episode, I think we should be able to go to the root command. I think we saw this like in the beginning or when we started with System.CommandLine. There is an add. Is there some console? Oh, there was this. I have the feeling there was some console thing to set. Was it not? I get. There must be some way how to set the console. So I guess this is then the to-do and the entry point for our next episode, where we then will have our own public class. Let's call it the test console, which will implement iConsole. And we will be implementing this interface for us. So we will have our own iStandard stream. Then we have our own iStandard stream writer. No, actually, we don't need the out. We don't need the error, but we need the in. Oh no, the in. Hold on, now I'm confusing myself. Yes, we need the out actually. Yes.
Yeah.
So we will then have our own public sealed class. Let's call it test stream writer, which implements iStandard stream writer. And in its write, then maybe there's something like, perhaps we have a private read only a list of strings. We call this lines or output. And then we'll be just adding to this list every time write gets called. And then we can add some method like assert, where we pass in the string that we expect, something in this term. And we could then say if this list on the first index's text is not expected, then we throw some exception, and which then will fail the test.
Okay.
Assertion.
I will take a screenshot and then pretend like I just remembered next episode.
Excellent. If I could spell correctly, assertion. Something in that term. I guess we should then make this to a params string array. Yeah. Anyway, we will get to there next time, where we then can assert our code.
Nice.
And then I don't know how yet, but I'm very sure that we can replace this System command line on this context and inject our console. I'll find this out until next episode.
Okay, sounds good. Speaking of which, when is our next episode?
It will be in a week plus one. In 8 days, we will be back on 6th of July at the same time.
Nice. So not a very long wait until this this tool will be continued. Cool. So yeah, so usually we have like a slightly longer break. We have a couple of days, but as always, if you do sort of crave content and want to learn something in between, we do have some suggestions for you for interesting events that you could attend. The first one is turning software into computer chips. It's a it's an online event, I think. Yes, online event. Yeah, sounds, I suppose, interesting. What was the thing they use? You said you
Hast
Hastlayer.
layer,
Hastlayer, yeah, there it is.
which support or which promises to write code that, if I got it correctly, to write code that gets translated into more hardware aware code, which then is faster, or promises to be faster.
Yeah, sounds
I wonder
cool.
if there is maybe we could utilize that in a future episode.
Jim.
We will definitely we will definitely have a session in the future about performance. We'll make our tool as fast as possible.
I like that. And the next is one of my personal favorites. It's a Test Busters night. Yeah, it's always super fun. It was the first meetup I ever went to, and this is why it always has such a special place in my heart. Obviously, it's mostly about testing, so not sure if it's interesting for everybody, but yeah, if it is, definitely check it out. It's a super fun event, very nice community, and yeah, also available online.
Friesen6 is looking forward to our next episode. We are super happy. We will be, I think we spoiled or teased it already. We will be writing, again, we will be going back into testing mode, and we'll be writing integration tests for the code that we wrote today, which is then also, well, our tests then are some sort of specification, basically, then where we write a bit how we handle the options and the arguments, we will then manifest with that how our API, our tool is used. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, and always thank you guys so much for joining, for like tagging along and spending the evening with us. We really appreciate you taking the time and coding with us and teaching us something and learning from us, and just being here with us, I suppose. If you want to keep updated with our upcoming events and streams and things, you can give us a follow on LinkedIn. And also, obviously, if you have suggestions and if you generally just want to interact, we always love that. And yeah, again, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure as always. I've learned a lot. I'm very happy with myself. How about you, Stefan? You feel like you learned something?
Yes, definitely. What is it that I learned? Well, I guess the usage of System.CommandLine.
Yeah.
Which is,
what is it?
yeah. What did we do the last 2 hours? Yeah. I haven't used it yet. I have the feeling I'll be using this for every command line based thing that I'm ever writing ever again.
Wow. You should write
like
a review on the previous thing. 5 stars.
I'm quite expecting then the stable version, and I'll be monitoring the discussions that they have online very closely to understand what breaking changes that we have, so that we can apply them easily when it goes stable. And I guess for no, I failed the segue. Anyway,
Thank you so much,
great stuff.
Stuart. Thank you for saving me when I'm struggling with, with processing speed. Brain processing speed. My savior. Hopefully see you next time as well. And yeah, have a lovely evening.
We'll be back. If I find, oh no, did I? There we go.